The great space station Scifi floated in the quiet of deep space like a shining jewel. Built by many species working together, it was known as a place of peace, trade, and diplomacy. Here, aliens from hundreds of worlds lived and worked side by side. There were creatures with wings, beings made of light, and even those who could speak through thoughts. But among them, one species was still a mystery to most humans. Jack Callahan, a human engineer, had worked on Scifi for almost a year. He was tall, quiet, and often kept to himself. Most people didn't know much about him. He spoke only when needed and worked hard. Many assumed he was just another ordinary human. But those who looked closely could see something else in his eyes, something deep, like a storm hidden behind calm clouds. Then there was Thalon, a member of the Veyari, an elegant and peaceful alien species known for their emotional sensitivity. The Veyari had soft blue skin, glowing silver eyes, and a gentle way of speaking. They could feel the emotions of others like waves in the air. Thalon was a diplomat in training, learning about other cultures and forming peaceful bonds. Jack and Thalon met during a repair job near the station's energy core. A power line had burned out, and Jack had gone to fix it. Thalon was there to observe human engineering methods. At first they didn't speak much. But something strange happened when Thalon stood near Jack. He felt calm, steady, and safe. It was rare for a Veyari to feel that way around someone whose mind he couldn't read. Humans were almost completely closed off emotionally, at least to Veyari senses. Over time, they began talking more. Jack found Thalon's gentle voice soothing. Thalon enjoyed Jack's quiet strength. Their bond grew slowly, like a plant reaching toward sunlight. They started eating meals together, sharing stories, and even exploring the gardens on the upper decks. Some called them strange, others stared. But Jack didn't care, and Thalon felt safe around him, truly safe. Their relationship became a small symbol of unity. A human and a Veyari so different, yet together, it gave hope to some and curiosity to others. Could love truly cross the stars? One evening, as the artificial sun set on the garden deck, Thalon gave Jack a small glowing stone. This is called a lori. It glows brighter when it feels love nearby. Thalon explained with a smile. Jack took it gently, holding it in his large hand. The stone pulsed warmly, shining with a soft white light. "I guess it likes me," he said with a grin. "It does," Thalon replied softly. "And so do I." Jack didn't answer right away, but he reached out and touched Thalon's hand. That was enough, but not everyone on Scifi liked the bond. Some believed that humans were too rough, too emotional. Others thought the Veyari were too delicate and too trusting. In whispers, people questioned what could happen if things went wrong. Jack and Thalon didn't listen to the whispers. They focused on each other, building their bond slowly, one moment at a time. Then one day, Thalon told Jack, "I want to get you something special. There's a rare mineral only found in the lower levels. It glows like Ilori, but deeper, more meaningful." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Is it safe down there?" Thalon smiled. "It's just a quiet old section of the station. I'll be fine." Jack hesitated but nodded. "All right, but don't be too long." Thalon left with light steps, his silver robe flowing behind him. Jack watched him go, a small knot forming in his stomach. He didn't know why, but something didn't feel right. Far below, the lights in the old section flickered. Shadows moved where they shouldn't, and Thalon was walking into them, unaware of the danger that waited in the dark. The old sections of Space Station Scifi were not dangerous by design, but they were forgotten. Once full of traders and builders, these halls had grown quiet. The lights flickered now, some barely working. Most visitors avoided the area not because it was unsafe, but because it felt strange. Thalon walked through the corridor with light steps. In his hand he held a small scanner, guiding him toward a rare mineral called kerylite. It glowed with soft color and was believed to bring warmth and comfort, perfect as a gift for Jack. Thalon smiled to himself, thinking how surprised Jack would be, but someone else was watching. Hidden behind a support beam stood a group of 4 rough-looking aliens. Their armor was scratched and mismatched, their faces covered by dark visors. They were Grask, a species known for strength, greed, and no respect for peaceful ways. One of them, the leader, pointed at Thalon and whispered, Veari. Rare and valuable, let's take him. Thalon continued walking, unaware of the eyes following him. He reached a small storage room where kerolite samples were kept, left over from old mining projects. The room was quiet and dim. Thalon bent down to pick up a glowing shard. Suddenly, the door behind him slid shut. He turned. Confused. Four figures stepped out of the shadows, surrounding him. The leader, tall and wide-shouldered, removed his visor, showing green-gray skin and cold yellow eyes. Well, he said with a slow grin. A Viari all alone in the dark. Thalon stepped back. This is a peaceful station. You have no reason to threaten me. The leader laughed. Peaceful? Maybe on the top floors? Down here, no one sees what happens. Thalon's hand reached slowly for his cum, but one of the Grask slapped it away. You're coming with us, the leader said. Viari fetch a good price. I am not for sale, Thalon said firmly, standing tall. The leader stepped closer, narrowing his eyes. You're brave. That won't help you. Just then, a soft beep echoed from Thalon's wrist. His biosignal had triggered an emergency alert. The Viari had a natural stress response that could be detected by their bondmate. Far above, Jack's wrist monitor lit up. A red light blinked. Thalon was in danger. Jack's heart dropped. Without a second thought, he grabbed his jacket and ran. His boots pounded against the floor as he rushed through the halls, pushing past confused workers and guards. He didn't stop to explain. He didn't need weapons. He didn't think twice. All he knew was someone had touched Thalon, and that was something they would regret. Back in the lower levels, Thalon was trying to reason with the attackers. I am bonded. My mate will come for me, he warned. The Grask leader laughed. A mate? What kind of soft creature would bond with you? Thalon looked at him calmly. A human. The laughter stopped. The Grask exchanged glances. One of them muttered, Human? You mean from Earth? Yeah, the leader snorted. He won't come. He can't do anything. Clang! The sound of metal slamming echoed through the hall. The Grask turned toward the noise. One of their men stumbled out of the corridor, holding his side. He's here. Before anyone could react, the door to the storage room burst open. Jack Callahan stood in the doorway. No weapons, no armor. Just his eyes sharp, burning with purpose. He saw Thalon behind them. Eyes wide, no wounds, but afraid. That was enough. The Grask leader stepped forward. You're just one man? Jack didn't let him finish. In a flash, he moved. His fist connected with the leader's jaw, sending him crashing into the wall. Another Grask raised his arm, but Jack blocked it and threw him to the ground. The room exploded into motion. Thalon watched in shock as Jack fought with raw power. Each move was fast and sharp. He didn't hold back. He didn't stop. It was not just a fight. It was rage. Protective, focused, deep. The attackers tried to escape. But Jack was faster. One by one, they fell. He didn't need help. He didn't speak. He was like a storm, impossible to stop. Then dash silence. Jack stood over the last attacker, breathing hard. Around him, the Grask lay groaning, unable to rise. He turned to Thalon. Are you hurt? He asked, voice low but calm. Thalon shook his head slowly. No, I'm okay. But how did you? Jack took his hand and said softly, You're mine to protect. The storage room was silent now. The Grask mercenaries lay on the floor, groaning in pain. Some tried to crawl, others just lay still. Jack stood among them, his breath heavy but steady. His hands were scratched, his knuckles red, his eyes still burned with protective fire. Thalon looked at him with wide silver eyes. He had never seen Jack like this. The quiet human who once gently repaired machines had just defeated 4 trained attackers without a weapon. Jack stepped closer and touched Thalon's shoulder. Are you sure you're okay? He asked again, softer this time. Thalon nodded. Slowly, yes, you came so fast. I didn't know humans could move like that. Jack gave a small smile. When someone you care about is in danger, you don't waste time. Thalon was quiet. His heart beat fast, not from fear now, but from something deeper, something warm. He had always known Jack was strong, but this was something else. Something fierce. Jack helped him out of the room. They stepped into the dim hallway. The Grask were left behind, unable to follow. Jack opened his wrist and sent a quick message. To station security, criminals in section 17C, 4 of them. Injured but alive. He didn't say anything about the fight. He didn't brag. He just gave the facts. Soon, lights flickered as red emergency beams flashed along the corridor. Security bots and officers arrived within minutes. A tall officer, a Lorian with smooth purple skin and 4 eyes, stepped forward. We received. The alert. Are you both safe? She asked. Jack nodded. They tried to take him. I stopped them. The officer looked past him at the unconscious Grask. All of them? You stopped them? Alone? Yes. The officer raised a brow but said nothing more. She turned to her team. Secure the area. Medical drones now? Jack placed a hand on Thalen's back and guided him away as the officers took over. They walked slowly, the station, lights glowing softly above them. Thalen didn't speak for a while. He kept glancing at Jack, his thoughts spinning. When they reached their shared quarters, Jack opened the door and led Thalen inside. The lights turned on automatically, filling the space with a gentle white glow. It was quiet, peaceful, a sharp contrast to what had just happened. Jack poured a glass of water and handed it to Thalen. Sit, he said gently. Thalen sat on the edge of the couch, holding the glass with both hands. Jack sat across from him. Finally, Thalen spoke. What you did back there. I've never seen anyone fight like that. Jack looked down for a moment. I didn't want to fight, but they gave me no choice. I understand, Thalen said softly. But you didn't just fight. You protected, you were like a shield? Like a force of nature, Jack let out a breath. Humans are different, Thalen. We're not always strong or smart. But when it comes to someone we care about, we don't stop, we don't back down. Thalen looked into his eyes. Is that what I am to you? Someone you care about? Jack didn't blink. Yes, you are. There was silence again, but this time it was warm. I felt something, Thalen said. When you came into that room, I felt your anger, but it wasn't wild. It was focused, it was like fire, but it didn't burn me. It protected me, Jack nodded. That's how humans are built. We protect what we love, no matter what. Thalen smiled gently. And I thought the Veari were the emotional ones. Jack chuckled. We just hide it better. Outside, the news of the fight began to spread across the station. Reports of a human taking down a group of Grask attackers without any weapons surprised many. Some were shocked, others impressed. Some even afraid, but inside their quiet room none of that mattered. Only 2 things were clear. Thalen was safe. And Jack had shown exactly what it meant to be human. Thalen reached out and took Jack's hand. You didn't just save me, he whispered. You showed me who you really are. Jack squeezed his hand gently. I'm just a man who couldn't. Oh, did you get hurt? The next day on Space Station Scifi felt different. Whispers moved through the corridors like wind. Everywhere Jack and Thalen went, eyes followed them, some full of respect, some full of fear, and some simply curious. The story of what happened in the lower levels had spread fast. A human, unarmed, had taken down 4 Grask mercenaries in under 5 minutes. It sounded like a myth, something from an old Earth tale, but this wasn't a story. It was real. And the station's people were trying to understand it. Jack Callahan didn't like attention. He had always stayed quiet, working in the background. Now officers wanted reports, diplomats asked questions, and strangers stared when he passed. He didn't care about what they said. He only cared that Thalen was safe. Thalen, however, couldn't stop thinking about it. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Jack standing in the doorway of that dark room, calm, fierce, protective. He remembered the way Jack had fought, not with wild anger, but with controlled strength. It wasn't violence. It was something deeper. It was love turned into action. Inside their private quarters, the air was still. Jack sat at the small table, fixing a broken wrist comb. Thalen stood by the window, watching the stars pass by in slow silence. Jack, Fallon said softly, "May I ask something personal?" Jack looked up. Always. Fallon turned to face him. "When you came into that room yesterday, what did you feel?" Jack put down the tool in his hand. He thought for a moment before answering. "I felt fear," he said. "Fear that I was too late. That you were hurt." Fallon blinked. "But you didn't look afraid." "I didn't have time to show it," Jack said. "Fear can freeze you or move you. I chose to move." Fallon nodded slowly. "Your fear turned into action, into power." Jack shrugged lightly. "It wasn't power, it was choice. I chose not to let them hurt you. That's all." Fallon stepped closer, his voice quiet. "And if there had been more of them? 10? 20? Jack looked at him without hesitation. "I would have done the same. I would have tried. No matter the number." Fallon smiled, though his eyes were soft with emotion. "You humans, you surprise me." Jack tilted his head. "In a good way?" "Yes," Fallon said, "in the best way." Just then the door chimed. Jack stood and opened it. Standing outside was Commander Relin, the Lorian officer who had responded to the fight. Her purple skin shimmered slightly under the hall light. "May I come in?" she asked. Jack stepped aside. "Of course." She entered, her posture respectful. "I won't take much of your time," she began. "I'm here to inform you that the Grask mercenaries have been taken into custody. They're being sent to a prison planet under station law." Jack nodded. "Good. There's more," Relin added. "The Council has asked for a full report. They want to understand your actions." Jack raised a brow. "Understand them?" Relin looked between him and Fallon. "They don't know what to make of it. Many species here aren't used to the human way of protecting others. Your bond with Fallon, it's powerful. But to some it's confusing, even frightening." Fallon stepped forward. "Jack didn't hurt anyone without cause. He protected me." "That should not be feared." "I agree," Relin said. "But not everyone sees it that way. Some think humans are dangerous when emotional. Others think you're unstoppable when protecting a mate." Jack gave a small, tired smile. "We're not unstoppable. We just don't give up." Relin nodded. "I believe that's what scares them the most." She handed over a small data pad. "The Council would like to speak with both of you tomorrow. They want to learn more about humans, about the Veyari bond, and how the two can work together." "All right," Jack said simply. Relin turned to leave, then paused. "Jack, what you did wasn't just brave. It may have changed how many see your kind, for the better." With that, she left. Fallon and Jack stood in silence for a while. Then Fallon reached out and held Jack's hand. "Are you ready to be the center of attention?" Fallon teased gently. Jack smirked. "Not really." "Well," Fallon said, leaning against him, "we'll do it together." Outside the window, stars continued to move. A new day was coming, one where Jack and Fallon wouldn't just be seen as an odd pair, but as proof that love, courage, and unity could cross any line. Even between species, the council chamber on Space Station Scifi was a wide, circular room filled with soft lights and polished silver walls. Representatives from many species sat in a circle: Veyari, Lorican, Sarn, and even a few rare humans. The ceiling was made of clear glass, showing the stars outside. In the center of the room stood Jack Callahan and Fallon. The day had arrived. After the fight with the Grask mercenaries, the council wanted answers. Not just about what happened, but about what it meant. A tall, blue-skinned Sarn named Eliran stood up. He was the lead voice of the council today. "We welcome Jack Callahan and Fallon of Veyari," Eliran said in a calm tone. "This meeting is for understanding, not to accuse, not to punish, but to learn." Jack nodded. "We understand." Eliran continued, "Jack, it has been confirmed that you subdued 4 Grask warriors alone, with no weapons. Some are calling it luck, others call it instinct. What do you call it?" Jack glanced at Fallon, then answered, "I call it love." A soft murmur spread through the room. Eliran raised his hand to quiet the chamber. "You say love gave you that strength?" "Yes," Jack replied. "Not just emotion, a choice, a responsibility. I couldn't let them harm Fallon. It didn't matter how many stood in my way. Another council member, a short Veari named Jasara, leaned forward. We have studied the human race. Your species has a history of both great kindness and intense action. Some are afraid of what that might mean when combined with the Veari bond. Could that become dangerous? Thalon finally spoke, his voice firm. The bond between a Veari and their mate is built on trust, not control. Jack didn't lose control. He used his strength with focus. Jack added, humans feel deeply, yes. But we also know how to protect without hurting those we care about. I wasn't angry without reason. I was defending someone I love. There was silence again. The council was listening closely. A third member, a Lorican with silver eyes, named Commander Rellan, the same officer who had helped after the fight, stood and added her voice. I've reviewed the station footage. Jack Callahan showed restraint. He only struck when necessary. None of the attackers suffered life-threatening wounds. That is not uncontrolled rage, that is discipline. Many nodded quietly. Then an older human ambassador, Amelia Dorn, spoke. Perhaps what we are seeing is something new. A human and a Veari bond that brings strength and wisdom together. It should not be feared, it should be respected. Jack remained calm but alert. He could feel the weight of many eyes on him. Eliren took a breath and spoke again. Jack Callahan, are you prepared to serve as an example of your species here on this station and perhaps beyond? There are still those unsure of humanity's place in this galaxy. I didn't ask to be an example, Jack said, but if my actions can help others understand what it means to be human, and what it means to protect someone you love, then yes. I'll do my part, Thalon added, and I will stand beside him. Our bond is proof that trust can exist between very different kinds of people. The council was quiet again. Then slowly, Eliren stood and gave a small bow. Then we thank you, both of you. This meeting is finished. But your journey, I believe, is just beginning. As the chamber emptied, many members came forward to shake Jack's hand or nod at Thalon with respect. A few even smiled. When they were finally alone again, Jack and Thalon walked out of the council hall into the quiet corridor beyond. Jack exhaled. Well, that was a lot of eyes, Thalon laughed softly. You spoke with honesty. That's what they needed to hear. They'll probably watch everything I do from now on. Thalon reached over and took his hand. Then let's show them something good. They walked side by side, the lights of the station glowing above them. Around them, things were changing. Slowly, yes, but clearly, whispers that once feared humans were becoming whispers of respect, where doubt had been. Understanding was beginning to grow. And at the heart of it all was one quiet man who had chosen love over fear, and a bond that had proved unbreakable, even in the darkest hall. The stars outside the window didn't look any different. But Jack and Thalon both knew. The galaxy had started to notice what humans were truly capable of when they protected what mattered most. The days after the council meeting passed quickly on space Station Scifi. Life returned to normal almost. Ships still came and went. Workers still repaired systems. Lights still blinked in long, silent halls. But something had changed. People smiled at Jack Callahan more often. Veari officers greeted Thalon with respect. There was a new feeling in the air, understanding. Or at least the beginning of it. One afternoon, Jack and Thalon sat together at a quiet cafe overlooking the docking bays. The large window gave them a perfect view of stars and ships. Gliding through space. Thalon sipped from a warm drink, his silver eyes calm. You know, he said softly, I used to feel like I didn't belong here. Jack looked at him. Why? I was always different from other Veari, quieter, more curious about humans. Many of my kind saw humans as unpredictable, dangerous. Even and now? Jack asked. Thalon smiled. Now I think being different is what made me strong, what led me to you. Jack reached across the table and took his hand. You don't just belong here, you belong with me. Thalon looked out at the stars. And now the galaxy knows who you really are. Jack gave a small laugh. Or at least a version of me. I'm not some hero. You're more than a hero. Thalon said gently, you're real. You're someone who stood between me and danger. Not because you had to, but because you chose to. Jack was quiet for a moment, then he looked around the cafe. He noticed something new. Aliens of different species sitting together, talking. Some were even watching old footage of Jack's fight and discussing it not with fear, but with interest, curiosity, even respect. Maybe what happened wasn't just about us, Jack said. Maybe it opened a door, Fallon nodded. Maybe it started a new way of thinking. Just then, a young Veari child walked up to their table. He looked nervous but excited. "Excuse me," he said softly, holding a small drawing. "Are you Jack?" Jack smiled gently. "Yes, I am." The child handed him the drawing. It showed a simple image Jack standing between Fallon and three shadowy figures, arms wide, eyes bright. Above it, in big letters, were the words, "Protect," with heart. Jack looked at it, touched. "Did you draw this?" The boy nodded. "My father said humans are scary, but I think you're brave." Fallon leaned down with a kind smile. "Being brave doesn't mean having no fear. It means choosing to act, even when you're afraid." The boy beamed and ran back to his family. Jack stared at the drawing for a long moment. Then he folded it carefully and placed it in his pocket. Later that evening, Jack and Fallon walked through the station garden, an area filled with soft lights, strange alien trees, and the gentle sound of artificial wind. It was peaceful. "I've been offered something," Jack said suddenly. Fallon looked up. "Offered what?" "A role," Jack replied. "The council wants me to join their human relations team. Help build bridges between humans and other species. Teach others what our kind can offer, and how we think." Fallon blinked. "That's important," Jack shrugged. "I never thought of myself as a teacher." "You don't have to teach." "With words?" Fallon said. "You already teach with actions?" Jack stopped walking and looked into Fallon's eyes. "I'll only accept if you stay by my side," Fallon smiled. "You don't even have to ask." They stood together under a tall tree with glowing leaves. No words were needed. Their hands touched, and in that moment, nothing else mattered. What had started as fear had become understanding. What had begun with violence had turned into peace, and what had grown between a quiet human and a thoughtful Veari had become something that would inspire others across stars, across species, across time. Later that night, as they sat together in their quarters, Fallon rested his head on Jack's shoulder. "Do you think they'll remember us?" he asked. Jack looked out at the stars beyond the glass. "Maybe," he said, "but I don't care if they remember our names. As long as they remember what we showed them, that love is the strongest force in the galaxy." And with that they sat in silence, wrapped in peace. Two souls from different worlds, now bound by something far greater. A bond stronger than fear, stronger than distance, stronger than anything.